This is Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined for the latest edition of DiBella's Digest by the man himself, Lou DiBella. Looking very cool and relaxed this week, as usual, mostly. Lou, how's your week been?
No complaints, Danny. You know, I was talking to a friend of mine. I think when you have nothing that's really going wrong and nothing to complain about, then you got to look at it as good times. So I'm okay. It was a good week. And the Islanders won last night in a great hockey game that I was at. I loved it. And the Yankees lost yesterday, and the Mets won with their best pitcher pitching. So wow. I had almost like a perfect sports day. And now, Danny, while we are filming this, it's Mayweather Logan Paul fight day. Have you ordered it on Sky, or is it free, or is it a pay-per-view?
No, it's a pay-per-view, and I have not ordered it as yet. I may watch it tomorrow. I've got my son, so I won't be going to bed at a stupid time and getting up, 4 o'clock in the morning or whatever over here. But I may watch it tomorrow. We'll see. I'll probably look at some reports of it, and if it sounds interesting, maybe I'll order it then. What about you? I'm
not going to order it. I mean, honestly, it's 95 degrees here. I'm, involved in other stuff, and I'm not going to order. I don't think I'm going to order it. I don't mind exhibitions. Like I said, I got nothing against this. Anyone who cares about Logan Paul, anyone who cares about it as a curiosity, just wants to see Floyd get in with any living being. I'm cool with people ordering it if that's what they want to do. But I mean, I actually got calls, Danny, from legitimate press, newspapers and magazines, like casuals, not boxing fans, doing the articles. By the way, not even necessarily casuals, people that were just assigned the piece on. And I got a couple of calls on people doing stories. What does it mean for Mayweather's legacy if he loses? Okay, he's in an exhibition with a guy that lost to what's his name? KSI? KS1? What's the fucking name?
KSI.
I have a complete mental block on KSI. I mean, come on. One of the greatest fighters in the history of boxing, I don't care what he weighs, is fighting a guy that's 0-1, having lost to a novice. So, the idea of getting phone calls, people trying as an industry expert to try to get my opinion. I refuse to answer the question, by the way. I said it's not happening. What happens in this exhibition is whatever Floyd wants to happen in the exhibition, and he's not losing. And stop, go call somebody else. I know too much to answer that question.
Now, perhaps the best thing about the event is that it runs unopposed, as it's on a Sunday. But I want to ask you about June the 19th, because it appears, certainly at time of talking, that 4 major networks in the US are all going head-to-head with boxing on June the 19th. You've got ESPN, Showtime, Triller, and DAZN. Before we talk about, each fight card, just tell me, first of all, how big a deal, how important is Juneteenth in the US? Because it's not really crossed over here particularly yet.
No, this has nothing to do with it being Juneteenth. I mean, the fact there are 4 fight cards on the card has zero to do with Juneteenth, in my view. I mean, I don't think it has anything to do with Juneteenth. I mean, Kambosos and Teofimo doesn't even have an African-American. There's not a black fighter in the fight. Forget about African-American. I don't think it's got anything to do with Juneteenth, honestly. I just think that to be honest with you, I don't really understand why 4. There are only 4 right now. Those are the 3 regular platforms for boxing: DAZN, ESPN, and Showtime. And then you have your PBC, whatever you want to call it, Showtime, Fox, whatever, for the time being. And then you have Triller, which is the new player who bought this one event. But I, for the life of me, don't understand why they fucking all want to go in the same night.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I never wanted to go in the same. When I was running HBO Boxing, and we were in a dominant position. Seth Abraham was my boss at the time. We had these conversations many times. Seth would always be like, "Go do the best you can. Have a good relationship with Showtime. What do we care?" He basically said, "Why do we want to step on each other's toes?" I mean, even though we were infinitely bigger than them, we didn't have to schedule around them back then. But what benefit did I get about going the same night? If Showtime had something good, I'd rather we're on separate nights. And I don't know why 4 entities would want to go on the same night. Do I think that it's going to hurt anybody in particular? I mean, I think it's going to hurt everybody a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Triller reportedly moved their Lopez Kambosos from its original date because it was going up on the same weekend in the same state, same city as Mayweather Paul. But now they've moved it onto a date where it's clashing with 3 other shows, albeit not in the same location. It it maybe
Well, but here's the other thing. Most people, what does the Zone have that night? I don't even know.
Munguia against, is it Seletsky?
Okay, so not a single person's going to subscribe because of that fight. I mean, hold on, it's nothing wrong with the fight. I'm not complaining about it, but the point I'm making is that's not a fight that's moving the Zone subscriber base. They're just giving them programming. The people that have the Zone can watch ESPN, can watch Showtime, most of them, and the only thing they have to pay for is the Teofimo fight. I don't know that it's going to have how much of an impact it's going to have on any one. I don't think it's killing any particular event. I just don't understand why you wouldn't want to. There was nothing, for example, this Saturday night. Nothing. There was no boxing last night. None. It was good for me because I didn't want to watch boxing. I wanted to go to the Islander game. And there was a late night Met game with their best pitcher pitching at 10:30 at night, which would have been main event time. So I enjoyed not having boxing last night. But I don't, for the life of me, understand why somebody didn't go last night or this Sunday or this Friday. There was nothing. This was a dead weekend for boxing. Why? That makes no sense to me either. So.
And that's the show on the Zone. On ESPN, I believe it's Noya Inoue against Michael Dasmariñas, and I think it's a mandatory defense of one of his.
Okay, I know who's going to win that fight. I mean, there's nothing wrong with any of these cards. I think people will boxing fans will channel surf between the events. And what does Showtime have?
Showtime has Charlo against Montiel,
which is garbage too. Yeah. So it's 3 fight. They're all, the outcome's not in doubt in any of those 3 fights. Okay, there's nothing wrong. I mean, they're showcase fights. So I think I don't know necessarily that it's going to hurt the Triller card that much. I think people will channel surf. People don't like in between fights when Maddox and Mora start talking too much or something. I mean, or when you're on, I'm picking on Maddox and Mora. Any of those,
you're not the only one.
People don't want to see talking heads. They don't. Showtime's team might be great, but it doesn't make a difference. In between fights, people be watching fights, so people will be transferring between cards. I think a lot of people are going to think they know what's going to happen in the Charlo fight. They know what's going to happen in the Norway fight, and they'll catch the knockout on social media, honestly.
Sure.
So I don't know, it's not one of those nights where anyone's going, it's interesting to me that all 3 of the others in Triller are going on the same night. I like I said, it perplexes me a little bit, but I don't know that it's killing anybody,
And presumably you'll be watching mostly anyway. You'll be channel surfing maybe, but mostly watching Lopez Kambosos. Given your
I'll be at Lopez. I won't be channel surfing. I'll be at Lopez. I'll be at Lopez Kambosos, and I have a hard time. Let's see. There was the Charlo fight. He's not losing. There's the Inoue fight. He's not losing. And what was the third one?
Oh, Munguia against Seletsky. Yeah, he's not losing either.
I don't think he's losing either. So. I mean, I pretty much know what's going to happen in those, so I'll catch up on them later. By the way, I will catch up. I mean, if Charlo will be replayed, and if it's good enough fight, I'll watch it. And I'll probably, I'm going to be at the Lopez. I do think Lopez Kambosos shows the most interesting stuff going on that night. So I'll be there. But if I wasn't there, would I be buying it? Yeah, I would be. I also think George is going to put on a show. Like, I'm not saying he's going to win because Teofimo is one of the best fighters in the world. But I think it's going to be a real fight,
And he's saying the right things as well, isn't he? In the build-up, he seems very confident.
Training the right way. He's saying the right things. He believes in himself. Could he get caught early? Yes, so could Teofimo. Anybody could get caught early. Is Teofimo the legitimate favorite? Of course he is. But is George a no-hoper? No way he's a no-hoper. George is a real guy. George is a real lightweight top contender. So it's a fight. And by the way, you don't know where Teofimo's head is at. I mean, everybody's got their issues, and these aren't the easiest times mentally to jockey for anybody. I understand that Teofimo should be the favorite, but I also understand that George Kambosos is a real fighter, and he's going to be there to win. And he don't, tell him he can't win. He'll slap you, or he'll slap you down verbally. I mean, he believes in himself very, very strongly, and he believes that he's going to win this fight, that it's his destiny. And this is what he's always wanted, and this is what he's getting. So I think that'll be a good night. And you know what? I mean, Charlo and Noe, Munguia, they're all guys I would watch. But on that particular night, the best fight that you're going to see is Teofimo. And on the undercard, you're going to get DAZN and Sedarus. Is a terrific women's matchup. Hunter's fighting on the card. You have Charles Conwell fighting that night. Franchon, of the Franchon Sedarus fight. I said it already, but I love that fight. Now there'll be some good stuff on the undercard. I mean, I think it'll be a decent day for boxing fans. I want to see Triller remain a player. I'm not going to be agnostic about that. I want to see Triller have success. I do think it's a good card, and I hope that it does well, because I don't want to see Triller walk away from boxing. So I want to see it do well.
Do you think it was a good move that they decided to make this card purely traditional boxing and not mix it with some of the kind of crossover fights that they promote?
Yes, actually, I do.
Yeah.
I do, because I think that it's on a purist level. The purists are going to want to watch this card, and they're not going to want to watch a shit show around a legitimate fight. I think you could mix stuff up, but I thought that if they're going to do more of the influencer, led show, that you do it much more the way they did it the last time. And if you're going to do the more of the straight boxing dominated show, then I think bringing Jim Lampley in, I think that they're really trying to put a tuxedo back on boxing on this one, and I think that's a good move.
Great stuff. Well, Lou, really appreciate it as always. We'll have more to catch up on next week, including whatever happens between Mayweather and Logan Paul. I'm sure that will give us plenty to talk about.
I mean, if I was I'm not a degenerate gambler, Dan. We've established this before. Like I make small bets that mean nothing to me. But if I was a degenerate gambler, I would put like 7 million or 700,000, whatever. I probably couldn't even get the bet, but I would put the money on Mayweather. It doesn't go the distance, and Mayweather stops him at some point, because I just don't see Mayweather wanting to keep this fool around for the whole fight. Do you know what I mean?
No, I agree. I mean, it's like Mayweather-McGregor. The odds were ridiculous at the time, and a lot of people made a lot of money on the stoppage. But this time, I think the bookies are a bit smarter.
Yeah, I think they're smarter, and I wouldn't touch. What is it? I think it's minus 700 or more. And then that's the best bet on the board. I mean, that's the only one that makes any sense. If you bet Mayweather to win, you're getting pennies on the dollar. Yeah. But to get it's a 15% return on. If you can get. I don't think it's the dumbest. If I was sitting there loaded, I don't see Mayweather letting that fight go the whole way. What do you think?
No, I agree. I can't imagine Mayweather going the distance with Logan Paul. I mean, it sounds ludicrous, doesn't it?
It is ludicrous. Anyway, on that note, we'll talk next week. Have a good one, Danny.
And you, Lou. Take care.